We'll take this discussion further now. I'm being joined on the news at 10 by Senior Lecturer of Political Science at the University of Lagos, Dr. Godwin Okeke. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, Sharon's done quite a job of highlighting the main events of 2014, and I think one of the major events that stood out was the defections from party to party. Is there a proper way of defecting from one party to the other in Nigeria? Is there like a guideline? I don't know.
Well, the Constitution says that before you defect, that probably your party, if there's a problem in your party, that you can use that as an excuse to defect to another political party where there's seemingly no problem. But in the case of Nigeria, what we have seen is a situation where the politicians change parties like they change their clothes. What we have seen is not necessarily because there were, problems in one political party, so they defect as much as they want. Just like, though the Constitution was not particularly clear in the case of governors, I don't know whether it applies to governors, but for members of the state and national assemblies, it states that when you defect, or if you have gotten your mandate on a platform of one political party and you defect, you're supposed to vacate your seat. But what we have seen is because the two political parties, the major political parties are benefiting. That's why it's not a major issue at the moment. If it's affecting one political party, what they intend to do, maybe to go to court. And in fact, the cases in court now are being delayed because both of them are benefiting.
And of course, this also raises issues of questions surrounding ideology, party ideologies, because ideally one should not be able to get up from one party and join the other if you do not believe in the ideology of that particular political party.
That's true. But you see, the Nigerian political party, they do have ideology, but they are silent about it. If you don't understand the ideology of most political parties in Nigeria is capitalism. That is, what they tend to believe in. But in terms of the application, they normally, throw that overboard. What they look at is their selfish interests, not the ideology of the political parties that they belong to.
Well, looking ahead now to the campaigns which begin in just a few weeks as the elections are set for February 14th, especially the presidential and the governorship elections. What should we expect, as campaign points from candidates? I mean, we've seen over the years the usual areas that politicians focus on: power, you have power now, security, and so on. What should politicians particularly represent in the campaigns coming up?
Well, these issues are overflowed, but they still remain relevant in political discourse today. If you take the issue of power, for instance, PHCN has been unbundled, and all the stakeholders benefited. So I think it's the problem of the PHCN today is more political than saying that the PHCN is not working. I think the problem is who will take the credit of bringing electricity to Nigerians. So that is why that particular sector at the moment is not working. Because if you look at it, when all the major political holders have benefited from the unbundling of the PHCN, then the issue is why is it not working? All of them should take the blame, not directing the blame to one particular source. Are
you trying to say that we don't have electricity and regular power supply now because all the players have not benefited?
All the major stakeholders benefited. I think the blame should go to all of them.
Because you say that the problem is who gets the credit at the end of the day.
Exactly, because some of them might be deliberately frustrating the effort of the federal government to probably take the credit for generating electricity, and the majority of Nigerians benefiting. Because if you look at all the zones of the country, all the stakeholders in those zones benefited from the unbundling of the PHCN. So why are they not working?
So we head to the polls on February 14. What are your expectations? Votes will be counted, or, post-2015 polls, people are afraid that there will be violence post-2015 elections?
Even when there are minor political activities, we see political violence. But this is a major power struggle. Who captures the major seat, both at the center and the various other levels where the positions will be contested in the elections. So violence naturally will be expected. But what I think we should be asking is how the measures that are being put in place to checkmate such occurrences. At the same time, we also we have to look at what politicians are doing themselves to discipline themselves in terms of their utterances. They have their vanguards, they have their armies, already preparing for war. And if you look at the utterances of some of the politicians, it's not what political leaders should be expected to do in terms of the kind of message they pass to their supporters. And it's quite unfortunate in the case when, in fact, the political system is already heated up. We have problem of insecurity, and we have large youth unemployment and several other issues that are bothering the Nigerian political system. And I think what we should expect in 2015 is that politicians should, first of all, discipline themselves, put Nigeria first if they really believe that Nigeria is a project that is worth the name. And if not, well, if Nigeria collapses, when the rain falls, like Bob Marley said, it won't fall on one man's house top. Everybody will be affected. So let them be careful of the kind of statements they make, the kind of utterances, and the kind of the issues they bring to bear in the process of the campaign for 2015 general elections.
Dr. Okeke, I have to say thank you very much for joining us on the News at 10. Very insightful, your discussion there on politics in 2014 and the predictions for 2015. Dr. Gordon Okeke is a senior lecturer of the Political Science Department at the University of Lagos.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, the president has described actors and actresses in Nollywood as the greatest ambassadors of the country as they've brought glory to Nigeria. President Goodluck Jonathan said this as he played host to a group of actors who call themselves the Legends of Nollywood, led by Mr. Paul Obazele. And while admitting the football has brought glory to Nigeria, the president said the country's performance has not been as consistent as Nollywood's. He pledged more support for the artists. The group in turn honored him with the award of Grand Patron of the Legends.
There are so many good stories about you. So for us who, by divine providence and your own will, you've made us to be here at this time, you are our own pride, you are our own stars. And in fact, you are the greatest ambassadors of this country. Because the Nollywood family has really helped to bring good image to this country. One thing, before we were known for soccer, after some time we started fumbling. Today we are on top, the next day we are down, until you came on board. And so, since Nollywood came on board, you have been quite steady. And you've been bringing good image to this country. So.
President Goodluck Jonathan. Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has directed contractors handling the Amansie Ebenebe Obafemile Road and bridge projects in Oka North Local Government area to accelerate pace of work to ensure speedy and timely completion of the projects. He gave this directive while inspecting the ongoing construction of the 39-kilometer stretch with 2 bridges expected to gulp 8 billion naira. Mr. Obiano also commissioned the crossing of beams at the Nnam Bridge, linking Ogbenu and Ogbene communities, also in the same local government area, and inspect the flyover bridge at Aroma Junction in Oka.
You can see work is moving on well, yes. And the contractor, they reassured me that in 30 days' time, they would have hung the first set of beams on top of this flyover. By the time we finish this set of 3 flyovers, that will look like the hanging bridge in London. Oka will the landscaping here and the aesthetics around here will be significantly improved.
Welcome to Business News. The President has pledged to continue to actively encourage and support the development of mutually beneficial trade and economic relations between Nigeria and other developing economies. According to President Goodluck Jonathan, the federal government will welcome greater economic ties with other emerging economies in keeping with its commitment to privatization, trade liberalization, and the full diversification of the Nigerian economy. He made the comments during separate meetings with newly appointed ambassadors from Cuba and Zimbabwe who are at the presidential villa with their letters of credence. He told the ambassadors that Nigeria's vast economy is not just about crude oil, emphasizing that the country boasts of a vibrant business community with global presence in both the service and non-service sectors. Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves have slipped over $2.18 billion in the last month in the face of falling global oil prices and increased demand for dollars at the interbank. Data from the central bank's website show that as at December 19th, the forex reserves were valued at $35.13 billion. There were $37.30 billion for the same date in November. For the same period in 2013, the reserves were higher at $44.10 billion. Well, it was another bullish session at the Nigerian equities market today as key indicators jumped by 4.51%. The rise came on the back of gains recorded by some major market movers. Our correspondent BC Adebayo has more on that.
Hello and welcome to the stock market reports. The positive momentum continued at the Nigerian equities market for a third straight day as key indicators jumped by 4.51% to 32,786.0. Now, Tuesday's gains could be attributed to gains recorded by highly capitalized stocks such as Dangote Cement, Nestle, and Seplat. On the flip side, Forte Oil was the day's heaviest loser with 10 naira 90 kobo, and it's followed by GlaxoSmithKline and Nigeria Breweries. On the volume charts, Zenith Bank, Multiverse, and Resort Savings and Loans were the top volume drivers for the day. When the closing bell rang, investors staked 4.1 billion naira for 440.81 billion shares in close to 5,000 deals. And that ends the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Thank you, BC. That's it on Business News. On the news at 10, Amarachi returns in just a moment.
Next on the news at 10, Coach Manu Garba calls up 29 players as Flying Eagles intensify preparation for next year's African Youth Championship. We'll have more in sports news. Please stay with us.